Good evening, and welcome to the television graveyard. We are your TV necromancers, Laura Prince and Noel Houlihan. We have come here tonight to examine the spirits of past television shows, to find out which ones could be resurrected, should be resurrected, and which ones should just stay doomed. This is a podcast where we analyze the history, the hype, and the aftermath of shows that only ran one season, including some that ran only one episode. But not this month. This month we tackle the parasite of the TV graveyard. That show that runs within another show. The Backdoor Pilot. With me as always, Noah Houlihan.
I'm from Minnesota.
So this week we are handling Wayward Sisters.
Yes, the backdoor pilot from Supernatural, which is available to you on Netflix. So if you want to watch this, head on over to Netflix. It is, I believe, season 13, episode 10.
Yes, there's a lot of Supernatural. So
yeah, a whole lot of Supernatural. Sheesh.
So this was an attempt to launch a companion series about several minor characters who happen to all be women who kind of like have this surrogate family.
Yes.
And they were going to just be independent of Sam and Dean's adventures.
Yeah.
And this one's our most recent. This aired in 2018.
Yeah, I was almost like worried about doing this one because I figured it could still happen.
Yeah, I mean, there are still tweets on the Save Wayward Sisters hashtag dating back to, today is Thanksgiving Eve.
Happy Thanksgiving Eve.
Happy Thanksgiving.
No. Happy Thanksgiving Eve.
So, by the time this drops, it will be after Thanksgiving. So, happy Christmas time!
You survived Black Friday!
Woo, it's officially Christmas time. Stay doomed Christmas special. There are tweets from 4 days ago.
Really?
About Wayward Sisters. The most recent tweet I found was November 17th. There are still tweets on hashtag Save Wayward Sisters.
All right.
So people are not giving up the good night on this one.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, people loved this backdoor pilot.
Interesting.
So let's get into it.
Yes. So I want to point out before we even get started that neither of us are into Supernatural.
I've seen a few episodes here and there, and I have a lot of close friends who are big fans of it, so I pick up, like I know the car's name is Baby, I know that, I know who Sam and Dean and Kaz are.
Yeah, I knew who Sam and Dean were the stars of Supernatural. Beyond that, that is all I knew. This is my first time ever watching Supernatural. And my first thought was, is this Buffy? And then we start on a child who's been kidnapped by werewolves.
We start on an intensely confusing Previously On.
Yes, more confusing than Pendragon.
Pendragon, at least I watched the show.
Yeah, previously other things had happened with characters I didn't know. I was like, all right, let's just jump into this episode, please, because I am lost.
So the important things to know from the recap are that Sam and Dean are trapped in a rip in the universe, and a young woman who has visions has shown up.
Yes, Patience.
Yes. My first note is, oh god, that was all recap to set off the spinoff. We are so screwed.
Yeah.
So I went in worried about this one, because there was so much recap.
Yeah, that's interesting. That feeling you got?
Yeah.
Like a feeling of like being overwhelmed because it was a thing you didn't understand? What an interesting feeling that must be.
Yeah, the difference...
It's a feeling I couldn't possibly understand unless I tried to watch Pendragon.
Yeah, Pendragon was a children's cartoon, and there was less in the Previously On. The Previously On for this episode is like 2 minutes in its own right. Mm-hmm. It is a trailer for a full-length film.
Yeah.
So it's a creepy young man in a cave and like a shack.
Yes.
In the woods, and a terrified archetypal preteen blonde girl cowers on a couch cushion. Mm-hmm. And the creep asks if she wants to hear a knock-knock joke.
Yes.
And says knock knock, and then an older werewolf says stop playing with your food.
Hilarious.
Which is how we know there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
the little girl finally in terror responds, "Who's there?" And he makes a scary face at her, and we're like, okay, he's a demon.
And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, like, is this Buffy? Is this Buffy-esque?
It's very Buffy-ish.
And then our protagonist knocks on the door, and it is Claire.
Well, no, what happens is you hear, and then one of the werewolves goes, "Who's there?" And I was like, oh, it's the knock joke, and then knock, who's there?
Totally missed that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, it was knock, who's there?
Clever.
And then...
Good on you.
It's a delivery person who, he opens the door and he's like, "Oh, you have the wrong house." And she's like, "No, it says your name right on it." And he looks down and then, our protagonist, Claire, shoots him through the box she's carrying.
The package says...
Werewolf.
Mr. Werewolf. Which is when I went, oh, this is just Buffy.
Fair.
This is 100% just Buffy with blood.
Yeah, it's very gory.
Because I will say...
The recap
had more decapitations in it than Wolverine Origins.
Yeah, the recap... I was a little taken aback, because like I said, I hadn't watched the CW, and I kind of assumed Supernatural was like right there with Riverdale. Mm-hmm. Riverdale's not terribly graphic.
Right.
Because it's mostly just, what can we do to make these characters have sex with one another?
Yeah.
And I assumed Supernatural was, what can we do to make Sam and Dean tortured and sad?
Okay.
In sexually appealing situations?
Alright.
So I was a little taken aback that it was that violent. Yeah, I was like, did not see that coming.
So Claire destroys these werewolves, gets caught in the face, so her lip is bleeding for the entirety of this episode.
Yeah, who the hell do you think you are? I kill monsters. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we established that Claire is a badass.
Yeah, and she saves the little girl, reunites her with her mom. That's the cold open.
Yes, and which, by the way, super cold of that mom. It was like, this woman went into a shack, murdered 2 werewolves, saved this little girl.
3 werewolves.
Was there a third werewolf?
Yeah, because remember the little girl cowers in the corner.
There was a third werewolf.
And she looks past Claire in fear, and Claire wings around and shoots the third werewolf.
She kills 3 werewolves, returns this little girl to her mom, and the mom waves from afar. Like, doesn't even utter the word thank you. It's, hey, you can leave now.
But based on what we find out about Claire, I don't know if that's the mom. Based on Claire's characterization, I feel like she doesn't get close to people.
Yeah.
So, a woman calls Claire, and it's Jody who tells her Sam and Dean are missing. So we know who Sam and Dean are because they're the protagonists of the show.
I've been to a convention.
Yeah. I've been on the internet.
Yes. So,
they're missing because that's your requisite backdoor pilot plot of the main characters need to be sidelined.
Yeah.
So they're missing. Claire goes home to Jody. Jody's like her surrogate mom.
Yes. And she works on the police force.
Yeah, and then we're introduced to Patience, who Claire immediately does not like very much. Mm-hmm. Because Patience is wearing Claire's clothes and sleeping in Claire's room.
Also, did you get a vibe from Patience that she was Kyrie from Firefly?
I'm sorry? Who?
The Kaylee?
You got the vibe that Patience was Kaylee from Firefly?
Yeah.
No.
Kaylee from Firefly is the girl from Gotham, right?
No.
Shit. I haven't seen Firefly, guys. Who's the girl?
Okay, let me go on about how wrong Noah is right now.
They all know! The people who have listened to this show have seen Firefly.
Yeah, but they might not have seen Gotham, because a lot of people haven't. Morena Baccarin, who is Inara in Firefly.
Excuse me.
Is Lee Tompkins in Gotham.
Yes.
And now that you say that, still no?
They're always making the same face. Patience and Inara are always just making that, like, I'm overwhelmed but quiet about it face.
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't see it, personally. So, Patience is a psychic who has had a vision of Claire's graphic death by stabbing.
Yes, they show like the flashes of her vision, and you see the knife going in, and then you see a dead Claire in her surrogate mother's arms.
You see Claire sobbing into Jodie's arms.
Jodie, yes.
Well, you see Claire with her eyes closed in Jodie's arms, so not sobbing. You see her like...
Yeah. You see her body.
Yeah. And you see, like, the stab wound, you see someone bleeding out, and you see a hand going limp.
Mm-hmm.
So, Patience has seen this vision of Claire's death.
Yes.
Essentially. So, that's how she's trying to get Claire's attention. Claire tries to laugh it off, and Patience and Jodie are not having any of it. Because Patience has not had a vision not come true.
What did you think of Claire's performance throughout this entire thing?
I think... I thought she did well as an emotionally unavailable character.
Like, she is so, like, one note, and, like, because she hears this vision, and her reaction is basically, maybe it's not true. But it really is what that character needs?
Yeah, I mean, the character, we see more emotional development from Claire as we go on.
Because, like, throughout, like, she's one note, like, that very kind of deadpan, too cool for school thing. And yet, the whole time, I was fascinated by this character.
Yeah, and that's her character. It's not really a note in the actress's performance. The character is emotionally unavailable. When her surrogate mother hugs her, her response is, when did we become huggers?
Yeah, true.
Like, so she's not an emotionally available character.
Well, what I'm saying is, when you're not given a lot of notes to play with,
mm-hmm.
when you're constantly just like, you are going to survive and you're not going to listen to anybody, but you're not going to get upset about it. You're just very matter of fact, like, whatever. It's hard to make a statement on screen,
mm-hmm.
and yet she does.
Yeah, she was a very strong actress.
Yeah.
And we see much more of that as the show goes on.
Absolutely.
And there's another daughter, like another surrogate daughter, Alex, who has like a job and works in a hospital and is also not a fighter.
Yes.
And they're in there, and then this mysterious young woman is in the hospital.
Yes, I missed this, and I'm kind of feeling like you missed it too. Why were they searching for someone?
They're searching for the Dreamwalker. They're searching for someone...
The Dreamwalker, yes.
They're searching for the person who helped Sam and Dean cross over.
Right. Okay. Because they know that they're gone.
Yeah, they kind of know what-ish happened to Sam and Dean. So they're looking for this Dreamwalker. And then she's checked into the hospital where Alex works. So Claire goes to find her. Yes. And the Dreamwalker is Kaya, who then promptly escapes the hospital and is attacked by a scary, red-eyed Halloween storm monster.
If I were to try to describe this to you, because I host a podcast, I would ask you, dear listener, to take a Jawa, imagine a Jawa, and mix it with a putty from Power Rangers.
Yeah, like it moves like a putty.
It moves just like a putty.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree on that one.
I was like, that's a putty. That's a putty.
And they're similarly disposable.
Yeah, it's just, and they just die. They're there to get beat up and die.
So, Claire rescues Kaya from the monster and takes her with.
Yes, and stabs it in the throat, and it throws up blue Nickelodeon gack everywhere.
Yes. Yeah, like, I had this thing with Claire of, like, why is she going at it with, like, a little, like, 4-inch knife?
She has a very tiny knife that she uses throughout the show that's, like, not the best weapon.
Yeah, I'm like, does she have, like, a strong attachment to Lil Knifey? Like,
I guess it was, I don't know. I think that's actually quite possible. I think we could have just not known it.
Yeah, like, I think it would have turned out that the knife was relevant for some reason or another.
Because I'm assuming that Claire is not a new character. Like, that's a character that's already existing in universe.
Yeah, I think almost all of these people did.
Yeah, except for, I would say, what was her name? The Dreamwalker?
Kaya was in another episode.
Yeah, but I don't think she's like an established
I think
cast member.
I think she was introduced in the lead up to.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of leaning
at. Patience has a vision. Patience is like about to leave this house because she's like not having any of it, and she walks out of the I don't know what to call the house, the Wayward home.
Yes,
and has a vision of more of these putties coming in through the windows and the doors and like taking over their home, and she runs back and says we have to go, and she goes back, and then we see another shot of the monsters doing exactly what she said they would, and then we pan out and it's all of them watching it on the security cam of the cell phone.
Yes,
as they're driving away, and they're like horrified. And it also, Claire does a really good job of conveying more horror because it's Patience's other vision.
It's a vision coming true. And at this point, I have a new theory. Patience explains, what she sees, and it ends with Claire dying in Jodie's arms. My thought would then be, well, this can't come true if we're not together.
Yeah.
So that was my way of like, oh, I know how to break this vision. Let's not talk to each other. I can't die in your arms if you're on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
So that was my theory at this point. But Claire's not the type to run. It's cool. So they're running. Yeah.
And the next morning they get to this warehouse and they meet up with Donna.
D-Train?
I love Donna. Her license plate says D-Train.
D-Train.
And she has the most supreme Minnesota accent.
Yes. Now, did you think this has to be a guy?
No.
Because I did, because the license plate said D-Train.
No, I definitely sort of... Because I kind of thought they were setting this up to be more female-driven.
Yeah.
In a way, Supernatural is... And one of the biggest criticisms Supernatural comes under is that it's incredibly male-driven. Female characters do not tend to last very long on Supernatural.
See, that's not true in 100% of the episodes I've seen of Supernatural.
That one?
Yes.
Because there was a very, very, very popular character named Charlie, played by Felicia Day.
Oh.
And I don't watch Supernatural, but I found out about it when Charlie died because the internet was real mad.
Spoilers.
It was before this episode. I'm assuming most of these people know or don't care. So Jodie and Donna are very clearly old friends. Donna happily embraces Alex, who's like the quiet daughter, who we don't see as much of. And then manages to coax a hug out of Claire, which is like a good character moment that we now know that this is like a long-established relationship. And then we see in the back of D-Train's van weapons.
Yeah, just a bunch of guns.
Like guns, flamethrowers. And
yeah, she makes a joke about like...
So, who knows how to use a flamethrower?
Do you know how to use a flamethrower? But in an adorable Minnesota accent.
Well, it's great, because then Patience is like...
Anywho, brought the basics. Why do you have all this? I'm from Minnesota.
And then Jodie kind of goes along your lines of thinking and begs Claire to stay with and defend the girls.
Yes.
Which is like a way to keep them separated.
So Jodie and Donna are going to go because the Dreamfinder had opened a door.
Yeah.
So
Dreamwalker. Dreamfinder is from Disney World.
It had opened then a figment had come out, and with every spark,
I love it when you talk Disney.
In any case, the Dreamwalker had opened a door so Dean and Sam could find their mother. But something went wrong, and now they're in like a monster dimension. And she remembers that it's at like a shipyard.
Yes.
Now, we do see Sam and Dean.
Yes, I missed the first interlude, where they're trapped.
Yes.
And we just, like, established that they've been there for a few days. It was during the cutaway while they're driving away. Essentially, it was right before this scene.
Yes. And you know where they are is evil, because it's tinted in blue.
Yeah, and they said, like, no one knows we're here. They kind of establish how hopeless their situation is.
Yes.
Dean is... They're setting up a campfire, and Dean is roasting a lizard and eating it.
A delicious iguana.
And Sam balks.
Don't tell me it tastes like chicken. No, Sam, it's a lizard. It tastes like a lizard.
And I was really thrown. I didn't expect Dean's voice to sound like that. He doesn't look like he sounds like that. He has a much gruffer voice than I had, like, assumed based on the pictures of him on the internet.
If I ever meet him, I'm going to ask him to say the word diabetes.
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 So he has a much gruffer voice than I imagined, which everyone who's a big Supernatural fan is probably laughing at me for.
Yeah.
It's probably like a thing. I don't know.
They've been over that fact for 13 years.
Yeah, so then we go to, so, who here knows how to use a flamethrower? Oh, and at the end of the first Sam and Dean interlude, we see a creepy hooded figure carrying a spear.
Yes. And
so in the next interlude, the hooded figure attacks them and renders both of them unconscious. And we can see as the viewers, the hooded figure is definitely female.
Yes. I don't know if we were supposed to be able to gather that, but
yes,
we gathered it.
You must be, because there's no way they would design the costume to show off a female form if they didn't have to.
Yeah, she clearly works for Organization 13 and is in charge of keeping the locks so that Kingdom Hearts cannot be opened.
My assumption at this point was I knew they were looking for their mother, because they mentioned that like 36 times. So I assume at this moment this woman is their mother.
That's a good theory. Because
I don't know any other female characters in the show.
Yeah.
So I don't have like a lot of grounding. So then Kaya and Claire are talking in the van. And Kaya kind of like calls Claire out for being afraid.
Yeah, Claire has like this nice moment of like, I've always been okay with dying because of what I do. Mm-hmm. But to know it's actually going to happen makes it worse. And real quick to backtrack, we missed the scene of them two becoming friends by sharing scars.
Yes.
Is that how you got that? I've got others all over. Me too. Look. Ghoul bite. Bar fight with a vampire. He threw me through a window. And this one? Here? Heroic battle with the doorknob. I tripped.
Fantastic scene. It's like, this was a ghoul bite.
This was a bar fight with a vampire. He threw me through a window.
Lost the fight with a doorknob.
Yeah, and then like the last one is Claire fought with the doorknob and lost. Mm-hmm. And it kind of also establishes that Claire's been in a lot of fights.
Yes, it established a lot about Claire and a lot about their friendship.
Yeah.
Because they don't know each other very well, but like they're forming a nice bond of trust.
Yeah, and it's setting up the relationships for the series.
Yeah.
Claire shows how shaken she is by Patience's vision, and it explains her decision to let Jody go on without her when usually Claire wants to fight.
Yes. So, then...
But Claire then says, like, Sam and Dean saved my life, I can't let them die, and Kaya agrees to support her.
Yes, so they go after. Meanwhile, Jody and Donna have found the ripple in time. It's just like this weird orange gate.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, we can go through it. And then the putties show up.
Yeah, my note here. This show's a little budge.
Little budge.
Little budget. These are, like, if I can tell how you did it, little budget. They're all in, like, black costumes with clearly, like, red LED eyes.
Yes.
Like, there's no CGI here. CW doesn't have that CGI money.
But I really respect the good strategy being shown here.
Yeah.
Because, like, in Buffy, it's like, oh, what's Buffy gonna do? Buffy's gonna kill everything. Buffy killed everything because she's the Slayer.
Right.
In this one, they are clearly outnumbered, so they jump into a car, and they are just sitting, they're laying down on the back seat, pointing guns right above each other's heads.
Yes.
So basically, like, pointing at these windows. This way they are completely safe. Like, they are as guarded as they can be at that moment, and, like, when something goes wrong, they're ready to go.
Yeah.
But, like, they're not in a great situation.
Yeah, and then we have another interlude. Sam and Dean wake up tied to trees because it's not an episode of Supernatural, from what I understand, if Sam or Dean isn't tied up.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Been in 100% of the episodes I've seen.
And then the character... The hooded character with the spear, who I started to refer to in my notes as Britney Spears.
Britney Spears.
Because of her weapon. Britney Spears shows up. Dean calls her, quote, Darth Dickwad.
Darth Dickwad. What a great...
And then she hits a statue with her spear, and it makes a really loud noise.
I assumed it was a skull.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what it was, because you don't see it for very long.
I don't think there's a lot of artists in this world that would be around to create sculptures.
I don't know. She had really nice clothes.
All right.
Like, she looked pretty good.
Okay.
It was a nice robe. So, it could have been... I didn't get a good enough look at it, so I just assumed.
Yeah.
Because it made a metallic sound.
Yeah,
it might have been
bong.
Yeah. So, we cut back to Jodie and Donna in the car. Finally, Jodie and Donna begin to shoot at the monsters through the truck, and then they see a lot of fire.
Yes. It was a call back to the flamethrower.
And there's Claire, locked and loaded, with the flamethrower.
So, they are getting infested with these putties. And again, I love the strategy here. Because they teach patients, like, real quick, like...
You ever shot a gun before? No? Okie doke, here you go. Aim in their general direction, relax, and squeeze. Squeeze, don't pull.
And then they immediately go to hot gates. They run up the steps where the only way they can get to them is up this one hallway. And it's like, all right, you have to enter where my gun is pointing to get up here.
Yeah, and then in this interlude, Jodie and Donna are... not Jodie and Donna. Jodie and Claire are talking by the portal, where Claire tells Jodie she has to save Sam and Dean, and Jodie admits she knows. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Donna and Patience Claire and Kaya go through the portal, and the remaining characters Home Alone 2 a bunch of monsters by putting a toolbox down the stairs.
Down the steps.
And then Alex is just shooting.
Yeah, and then they run to another room, and I was like, no! Hot gates! Like, you were protected. But oh well. Now, I will say this, though. When Claire runs in to save Sam and Dean, why doesn't she go alone?
Because I think Kaya was part of... since Kaya has been to that world...
Okay.
Because this is, like, the bad place.
She would be able to help out. Okay.
Yeah, and importantly, Claire promises to protect Kaya. And then we cut back, and they found Sam and Dean very easily.
Yeah, this bad place is about the size of a football field.
Yeah.
Because every shot, that skull is in the background.
Yeah, it's not a big area. And then we see Claire cutting them free.
And then...
My hero!
A giant monster, like, parts the trees.
Yeah, we have some CGI.
Because Rita Repulsa had thrown down her staff and said, make my monster grow.
It does feel very Power Rangers.
And there's a giant putty there.
Yeah, he's ugly.
It's
Like,
just a putty. It's
I know,
another putty.
But they're ugly when they're bigger.
You see more detail.
Yeah, he was not attractive. So they're running. We're kind of cutting back and forth between what's happening at this point. And Donna and Patience have a really good bonding moment. Mm-hmm. Where, like, you know, Donna is really encouraging to Patience about, like, shooting the monsters. And it's, like, a nice moment. Mm-hmm. And this is the moment where I decide I liked the show, apparently. Like, okay, based on my notes, this moment where they're cutting back and forth, and then we're back in the bad place, and Britney Spears throws her weapon at them. Mm-hmm. Claire is shoved out of the way. Mm-hmm. And Kaya is impaled.
Yes. You audibly gasped.
I did. I wasn't expecting it. Because I wasn't expecting them to kill off one of the... I was not expecting them to kill off a principal character in the backdoor pilot. I would have thought they would have saved a character death for when they actually got a show.
True. So
whatever. We actually haven't seen the monster yet at this point.
Oh, we haven't. I'm sorry.
No. So Kaya dies, sacrificing herself for Claire. Mm-hmm. Then we see whatever the monster is. My note is, it's large and inexpensive looking.
Yes.
And then the next note is, didn't have a lot of money for this, did they?
No.
So it's still ugly, but large and inexpensive. The portal closes after Sam, Dean, and Claire come through it. Notably, like, they don't grab Kai's body, which bothers me.
I will explain that in a moment.
So we still see Kai dead with her eyes open, and we see her hand go limp. We see her limp hand. Mm-hmm. The way we
saw in Patient's vision, and then Donna is holding Claire.
Yeah, Claire collapses into Jodie's arms, and they both hit the ground with Claire, with her eyes closed, crying into Donna's chest.
Yeah, so...
Or Jodie's chest, excuse me.
I was, like, stunned when this happened, because I didn't think that we were going to get whatever the payoff for the vision was in this episode. I was like, oh, they're setting this up because down the line. So the fact that we got it all in one episode, I was like, oh, well done, episode.
Yeah, and it also establishes Patience as, like, yo, you listen when Patience has a vision, because Patience is... Yeah. But it also opens up this idea of Patience may not be interpreting
it's
her visions correctly.
And I think that's part of the reason why they had to leave her body behind. Mm-hmm. Because they actually have a moment where the vision fades into reality. They show that. Mm-hmm. And had there been another dead body there, like, there may not have been the confusion.
Right, okay, I get that. That Patience had no way of seeing Kaya.
Yes.
So, you know, Sam and Dean ask Jodie to thank Claire. They hug Jodie goodbye. They take off in Baby. See, I know the car's name is Baby. Was their car, like, at her house the whole time?
I guess.
Because they're back in the house. They're cleaning up. And there's a nice scene with Claire and Jodie. Mm-hmm. Where Claire is in mourning and Claire grows as a person.
Yes.
And she says she understands why Jodie gets so protective. She understands why Jodie worries so much, and she feels that she's failed Kaya. Mm-hmm. And then Jodie reminds Claire that she's not alone. They're all there for her, and, like, this is where she can stay.
Mm-hmm. And then they have a lovely dinner.
Patience and Alex clean up, and Patience is like, I killed a monster. And then Alex and Donna just laugh at her. Yeah. And Alex is like, welcome to the family. Yeah. And it's like this nice little, like, here we go again moment. Mm-hmm. And then we see a dinner, and Claire walks in and does the ending narrative.
Yes. Which I guess is how all the episodes would end, with the Doogie Howser, here's what happened today.
Yeah. You can play the audio clip of, like, we saved Sam and Dean.
I came back to Sioux Falls to save Sam and Dean Winchester. And I did. No. We did. We saved Sam and Dean. All of these amazing women. My family. They don't know it yet. They think I'm staying because I'm broken. But I'm staying because I need them. My family. My army. The thing that killed Kaya is still out there. And I don't care if I have to tear another hole in the universe. We're going to find it.
So she calls them my family and my army.
Yes.
Which is like a nice thing, especially because we've established that Alex and Patience are not fighters. So, like, they will fight when they need to, but it's nice that they're still part of her army. And Claire never disrespects them, ever, for not being fighters, which I liked a lot.
Yeah.
And then Claire vows to tear a hole in the universe to take revenge for Kaya.
Yes.
And then...
But then...
a hole in the universe opens, and our buddy Britney Spears comes out. Mm-hmm. Superhero land, stands up, and drops her hood. And it's Kaya.
What?
Yeah, so... And, like, I don't think it's... Like, I don't know. Like, did she shapeshift to become Kaya?
Is that just what all Dreamwalkers look like?
Yeah, like, is that what, is it someone who is, a sister to Kaya? Like, we don't know.
Don't know.
Because it's supernatural and could be literally anything. And that's how the episode ends. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, so this is when I realized that this isn't Buffy. This is Angel.
Yes.
This is exactly Angel. Angel had someone who could see the future so that they could go handle stuff. This is too close to Angel. But I like this a little bit more than I liked Angel.
I really liked this. I loved that Claire was the fighter, but she never disrespected that Alex and Patience were not fighters. Mm-hmm. Like, she was a little derisive to Patience's future seeing, mm-hmm. but it wasn't derisive toward her not being a fighter.
Yeah, they're a really good D&D party.
Yeah.
Like, there's the fighter, there's the one with the intelligence, there's the ranger,
Yeah, Donna's literally a ranger.
Yeah.
Like she's dressed... I think she's a sheriff, but she kind of looks like a park ranger.
Yeah.
But I do feel Alex was underdeveloped.
I think so, too.
I had to look up her name.
I forgot Alex was with them.
Yeah.
I thought they left her at the hospital. But, like, Alex's role in this was going to be research. She was going to be the guy in the van.
Yeah.
So, like, they were the guy that... She was going to be the person that they would stop by and be like, do you know what's going on with this? Well, I checked the morgue, and I saw that there was been an increase of bodies with their toes missing.
She's like Garcia in Criminal Minds, or Abby in NCIS. Like,
yes.
Which is a very important role, but, like, they didn't have a lot for her to do in this episode. Mm-hmm. And I think she also lost a lot of character development in favor of developing Kaya and Claire's friendship. Because, again, we needed it to matter.
Yeah. When
Kaya died, and it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there was a lot of, like... It was a good backdoor pilot in that it told a whole story, but felt like it could still be a continuation.
Yeah, that's kind of what you need to do. You need to tell a good story and then be like, well, also next week there's this.
It was a good pilot. Like, I wanted the show to be picked up by the end of it.
I would say out of all the ones we've watched, this is the one that felt the most like a pilot. Like, 21 short films about Springfield did not feel like a pilot at all.
Right.
What else did we watch?
The Farm.
The Farm kind of felt like a pilot, but it also felt like an episode of The Office still.
Yeah. And Pendragon.
I don't know what happened.
This
so.
did the best job of removing Sam and Dean from the action.
Yes, but not to a point where it's like, well, this isn't an episode of Supernatural.
Right, yeah. I thought that... I really liked this episode. I really liked Claire as a character. I liked Patience. Mm-hmm. I liked that they were kind of setting up that, like, there's a little bit of, like, a sibling rivalry between Claire and Patience.
Yeah, I would say, if I'm going to speak critically, everyone needs to speak the fuck up.
The sound mixing is very bad.
So often we had to crank the volume to understand what they were saying, and then they would blast us with guitars.
Yeah, there'd be music or gunfire, and then it'd be impossible to, like, hear in our home. It would be really tough. Yeah.
So I had that issue, but, like, it was a good story. It was intriguing. It's clearly a stay tuned for me. Yeah. I would totally watch this show.
I am on team #Save Wayward Sisters.
Which is insane to me, just because one thing I used to say all the time is a crazy person would say, I've watched Angel but not Buffy. Mm-hmm. Like, what a weird, crazy thing to do. After watching this episode, I would totally watch Wayward Sisters, but I'm not watching 13 years of Supernatural first.
Same. I really enjoyed Wayward Sisters. I would consider going back and watching the episodes that Jodie and Claire had been in prior. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed this. This was a hard stay tuned for me.
It's a hard stay tuned. If this was if there were only 3 seasons of Supernatural and I saw this episode, I would go back and watch all of Supernatural.
Same. I really, really enjoyed this.
But as someone that does a podcast where we have to watch an entire season of something a week, I'm not going to watch all of Supernatural.
No, definitely not.
But it was really good. It was a really good show, and I really, really enjoyed it. So, save Wayward Sisters.
Yeah, #Save Wayward Sisters. I'm going to go sign that change.org petition.
Yeah, they work all the time.
There's 84,000 signatures. That's like a lot of people for the CW.
84,000, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's that many people who watch the CW. So this show was passed over.
Yeah, what's up? Why? I'm surprised we're talking about it, because I would assume this would be something still debated.
Well, what happened was they kind of announced it, quote, wasn't creatively where it needed to be, and instead of picking up Wayward Sisters, they picked up Legacies, which is a Vampire Diaries spinoff, and people are real mad.
Yeah.
Like, people are still extremely upset about it. And now watching this, I know why. And that Vampire Diaries, I believe, has not been on in some time.
Yeah, but
they're on, like, their 3rd spinoff.
I could understand a company being like, well, people are demanding Vampire Diaries, and there's no Vampire Diaries on.
The Originals, I believe, is still on. The 1st spinoff.
Really?
I believe so.
Oh. Because I kind of see the silliness of, we want more Supernatural. There's 13 seasons of it already. Yeah, but make a whole new show of it. I mean, we're all right.
In August 2018, the showrunners confirmed that the Wayward Sisters cast would be turning up in various episodes of Supernatural over the season, over season 14. So I don't know if they're... I mean, this is a really interesting one, because I don't know if there's going to be this season, like, another backdoor pilot.
Where they try it again?
Where they relaunch Wayward Sisters. I don't know if maybe they're going to wrap up the story and maybe have Kaya's storyline be part of this season. Mm-hmm. Because we're also not very far in the TV season yet, so we don't really know what the story arcs are going to be.
True.
So, yeah, I think that's really, really interesting and really, really... Like, I'm wondering if we're going to, next November or whatever, do backdoor pilots too. Wayward Sisters some more.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I really enjoyed Wayward Sisters.
Yeah.
It's a definite stay tuned from me.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and bury this one back up, but I want to put a sign here, so in case some network executive wants to go looking for it so they know exactly where it is.
The van probably shouldn't say free candy.
You gotta get them in somehow.
You want to hear a joke?
So that's actually going to mean that it's time for us to leave the backdoor pilot.
It is.
plot.
This is the last November show.
Yeah, so I'd like to personally shout out a few that we didn't get a chance to uncover. Of course, NWO Nitro. Really wanted to talk about that. It'd be one where Noah got to do the research and Laura just got to listen. So
Thank you.
that one didn't happen. Sorry. Apologies to Derek Badachek.
Witch Right Hall, which was Sabrina the Teenage Witch. That was one we didn't do.
Yes, yeah, that's one I wanted to do. Tons of episodes of Buffy.
Yeah, we could have just done a Buffy pilot month.
And I forgive me if I didn't say it.
Maybe next October.
At the beginning of the episode. But thank you to Brian for suggesting Wayward Sisters.
Yes, thank you.
Excellent choice, Brian. So that's going to do it here for Backdoor Pilots. What plot will we be heading to for the month of December?
For December, we're going to have some fun and do game shows.
Yes, Game Show Month.
Now, as a reminder, there's 5 Mondays in December.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have any ideas for what we could do that would be special and different on that 5th Monday, throw us an email at thestaydoomedshow@gmail.com or tweet at us at staydoomed or Facebook, Stay Doomed.
Yes. What are we watching?
We
got to give these guys the homework assignment for next week's podcast.
Next week we're going to watch You Don't Know Jack.
You Don't Know Jack.
Because we're going to spend the holidays playing Jackbox, and I'm going to be in that kind of mood.
Based on the popular video game for the PC, You Don't Know Jack. Laura, you don't know anything about this. You don't know Jack about this show, do
I've
you?
played the computer game.
But you've never seen the show.
I've never seen the show.
I'm very excited to see what you think of this show.
I know I am undefeated in Jackbox You Don't Know Jack.
This is true.
It's really important to me that all of you know that.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes of what we got coming. And
Oh, boy.
I think it's going to be a very interesting podcast next week, I promise you. So, if you want to talk to me about You Don't Know Jack and things that Laura doesn't know about yet, go ahead and hit me up on Twitter. I'm at TVsNoah.
And if you want to join the hashtag activism to save Wayward Sisters, I'm Priorities on Twitter and Instagram. Until next time, stay doomed.